Today I'm filming right in front of my window and my neighbor is actively outside and they can see like directly in. I know this because I can see directly into their window. So that's what's happening. That's what's on the other side of this. Hi, my name is Sarah Freshly and welcome back to Freshly Read Books. Okay, so setting a monthly TBR for March ended up going really well, which is great because that was my first one that I'd set in a while. I'd been doing the seasonal TBR route. Monthly TBRs seem to be working for me right now, so I'm gonna keep going with it. As a reminder, when I set TBRs, I typically pick about 8 books, and then my goal is to actually read 5 of those books, but to read like about 8 books total for the month, which gives me a little bit of wiggle room because I don't always know exactly what I'm gonna wanna read throughout a month, but these are the things I'm hoping to read, and it'd be really cool if I read. So I've technically picked 9 books for this TBR, but mostly because, and actually we'll just go ahead and start with this one. The first book on my TBR is by TBR Spin Book, my pick from that, which is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. If you want to know more about TBR Spin, I'll put a link in the description, but we get together for a live show. We spin a wheel, it leads us to a prompt that leads us to a book, and then this is the pick from that. During those live shows, we do reading sprints, and I always start my TBR Spin book. So since for the month of April, it was actually like almost a week and a half before the end of March that we had the live show, it's technically possible that I'll finish this in March, which is why I'm setting 9 books on this TBR, including this one, since I'm already past halfway done with it. So during the live show, I think I got to like 30%, and then I read a little bit more of it that day, but now I'm officially putting it on hold to try to finish off my March TBR because I am very excited about those things and I don't want them to fall to the back burner. This is technically on hold, but I think I'll be able to finish it really quickly. It's crazy readable. So The Midnight Library is basically about this woman who is between life and death, and like in this transitional stage, I guess, she gets to go to what is called the Midnight Library, and in it are a ton of books, and each book represents a different decision that she could have made in her life that she didn't. And then she can see kind of how that plays out. So she literally like goes, opens the book, starts reading it, and then like before even a sentence is over, she is fully like living that life, but she has to do it from the current moment. So for example, if this was me and for college, let's say, like there was a different college that I was thinking about going to instead of the one that I did end up going to, then I could like read that book that would be that decision, but I would have to start today. That life decision could have led to a bunch of different life decisions. I might not be living where I'm living. I might have like a different job than I have, all these kinds of things. I'd have to like start it from now, which does lead to a very like readable experience where you're jumping into these different lives and you're like, okay, like what's going on here? But I do already feel like in this book, it's a bit repetitive. Well, I wouldn't even say a bit repetitive. I could tell within, I think it was when we came back from the second reading sprint, I was like maybe 50 pages in, I was already saying this. And then a lot of people in the chat were actually agreeing with me saying like, yeah, it's repetitive. It also feels like it is very heavy-handed with like the message of the story. And if it feels like that now, then I can only imagine what the ending's gonna feel like. So I do think that that isn't great. However, if you haven't been reading a lot and you want to get back into reading and you want a book that does have a message, I actually do think that this would be a good pick for that. That being said, I'm only like halfway through, so I could feel differently. You'll have to stay tuned for my April wrap up and I'll tell you all about it and my feelings about the book as a whole. But this is definitely on my April TBR and will probably be the first book that I read from that just as soon as I finish my March TBR. Fingers crossed. The next one up, I don't have a physical copy of, and actually that's gonna be a running theme for a few of these. This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. It came out yesterday as I'm filming this, and I'm actually going to a bookstore tonight, so I think I'll pick it up. I don't know, I do have it as an ebook from the library, and I do think that I'll be one of the first people to get a physical copy from the library as well, like just as soon as they get that into their system. But also I do kind of want to own it. I think it'll be like a judgment call when I get there. I absolutely love Ashley Winstead's thrillers. I've been so excited for this one. This book is about a woman named Jane, and she's kind of this like armchair detective. Like she listens to like true crime podcasts and things like that, and likes to kind of solve crimes without like actually like solving crimes and like being a part of it or anything. And so it maybe seems like not the best idea. And then the entire book is actually told I think a year after whatever happened, like her investigating this. I don't know if it's gonna be like a dual timeline situation or just like fully take place in that like present time in the year later. But either way, I'm very excited to dive into this one. It seems like it'll be, all of her thrillers are just, she does such a good job of like having the information come slowly enough that like you are super entertained the entire time, but quickly enough that you just like can't wait to see like what's gonna happen because of whatever reveal just happened and all that. So that's on the list. And then the reason why I am going to a bookstore tonight is actually to see John Green on his book tour for Everything is Tuberculosis, which just recently came out as well, like a couple of days ago as I'm filming this. This book is about somebody that John Green had met, I think his name was Henry, in 2019, who had tuberculosis. And then he also, so it's like his story, but then also other like facts and historical events and everything like all surrounding tuberculosis. It seems very interesting. I've read a few John Green books, not for a while now, but I did read The Fault in Our Stars and Paper Towns, I think. But I'm excited to read a nonfiction book by him and to see how he's like kind of developed as an author, because I do think he was a good author at the time, but I'm just like not really interested in YA anymore. So I'm excited to read a book from him that is not YA, and nonfiction or not, I'm like excited to read a book of his that's not YA, if that makes sense. His book tour is coming to Boulder tonight, so I'm going to that and I'm very excited about it. Another one that I don't have a physical copy of, The Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince, I think is what it's called, by Robin Hobb. So this is like a short story that's set in the Realm of the Elderling universe. And I think specifically it takes place in like the same area as the first trilogy from that, so the Farseer trilogy. And it's told from the perspective of this woman, Felicity, who attends the princess, her name's Princess Caution. And Princess Caution has a baby, and then Felicity is raising that baby. And the baby is like the Piebald Prince. And he's also witted, which for like in the realm of the Elderling, it means like to have the wit basically means that you can speak to animals, but it's not a good thing. Like if people think that you have the wit, they automatically don't trust you. They think you're like almost like beastly, like you are a beast yourself because you can communicate with the beasts. So if you do have it, then you basically try to like hide it at all costs. So I'm excited about this one. I finally caught up in the Fits Along series, or read-along that Win from Literary Diversions is doing. And I didn't think I'd catch up and also be able to read like the short stories, but here I am doing it. Next, I have a book that was technically on my March TBR, but I did end up deciding to move it off of that and onto onto April. That's A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I moved this because my sci-fi reading group and I decided to read the last book in the Expanse series in March, which we didn't decide until after March had already gotten started and my TBR was like technically set. So I decided that I would remove the lengthy book that's in a series that was already on my list and replace it with the other lengthy book in a series that I had. But I very much plan on reading this in April. I have a specific video idea that this will be a part of that I'm very excited about. But because I've just talked about this, I feel like a million times, because now it was on a seasonal TBR and then it was also on my March TBR. But really quickly, this book series is, or at least it starts, and it's about Cal, who is this Antari, which means that he can travel between universes. There's 4 universes, each a different color, and each with varying amounts of magic within them. He ends up teaming up with Delilah, specifically to get like this magic that is in our universe, or what is most closely resembling our universe that has almost no magic. It's got this like little piece of magic from this universe that like shouldn't exist anymore. And Cal and Delilah are kind of trying to like get it back there. That's like what the first book is in the most basic sense. I absolutely love that book. I'm very, very excited to read this one. And then this is a trilogy. So this is the second book in that trilogy. Wow, look at me go. I described that book so fast, the fastest I've ever done. Next we have The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff. This is a nonfiction that has been on my bookshelf for so very long. It's also one of my 25 books to read in 2025 list. I've been kind of trying to tackle the nonfictions that are on that list one a month, because I figure if I wait on those ones, then it'll seem really overwhelming to me later. But also I think that this will be a really easy read. It's basically about how you can see Taoism in Winnie the Pooh, which I really like. When I learned about Taoism in high school, I just thought it was like the most interesting style style of religion, like organized religion at least, if you can even really call it that. But my favorite part about it is it just is. And Pooh just is. And that's why this book exists. So I think it'll be fun to like kind of read through the life lessons and everything in this. Next, very exciting. This one's so exciting. So it's not coming out until June, but I can't wait that long to read it. I absolutely cannot. It's My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I'm so excited. Atria Books actually sent me an ARC of this, which is incredible because I love Frederick Bachman. I've read all of his books. I have multiple videos on my channel about his books, so I'm excited to make another one and see where this falls. This is about, there's like this famous painting, and then within that painting, like really small, is this group of like 3 people. And there's an artist, Louisa, she's an aspiring artist, and she really wants to figure out the story of those 3 people. And that's what this book is about. That's all I know. And that's all I need to know. And I'm very excited to jump back into Frederick Bachman's writing, especially this is the first book we've gotten in a while that hasn't been a part of like the Beartown series. And while I did like that series, I am excited to like be in something else. And then another new release, but one that has already come out, is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. So I actually got an e-arc of this, but like just a couple days before it came out on NetGalley. I got approved for that. And then I had also already requested it from the library, and it came like right after the book was published. So very exciting. So this starts with a diary that is found. It was written in 1912. It's found in 2012. And within it, it writes about this slow massacre, a nearly forgotten chain of events that goes back to 217 Blackfeet dead in the snow. Told in transcribed interviews with Goodstab, who is a Blackfeet Indian, who shares the narrative of his peculiar and unnaturally long life over a series of confessional visits. And it's a pastor that like wrote the diary. So I'm assuming that he wrote the diary about like the confessional visits with Goodstab. But yeah, Stephen Graham Jones does a lot of like Native and Indigenous horror stories. So I'm excited to read this one. And then there are 3 other books that I am looking forward to that are being published in April. I want to read at least one of them, and I'm only going to set one of them as a part of this TBR, but just like know that I might read any of them. Oh my gosh, and I forgot about the Literally Dead Book Club pick, which is The Inheritance. I might read that as well. But the 3 releases that are coming out this month that I might read are Gifted and Talented by Olive Blake, The Last Session by Julia Bartz, and Happy Land by Dolan Perkins Valdez. So any of those or all of them, if I'm really lucky, or really on top of it. But the one I think I'm most intrigued in, at least at this particular moment, is Gifted and Talented by Olive Blake, which is basically about these 3 siblings, and their father passes away, leaving basically like this empire for somebody, but they've all already kind of created their own, I wouldn't say empires, and created is probably not the right term because they come from like a rich family. And so how much is that creation really theirs, and how much is it just like the circles they already were running in and the money they already had access to? But it seems like there's a strong rivalry between them and everything. And I think that it's just gonna be like a fun like family drama type thing. It also seems like it's gonna be a little bit over the top, like not like literary fiction family drama. It could be basically any genre, and I'd be super interested in the premise of it. So I'm excited for this one, which is why I think that this is going to be the one that I pick up of those new releases, but I might pick up another one as well. I don't know. I haven't decided. And then I also might pick up The Inheritance, but I don't know what it's about. I just know that it's a Literally Dead Book Club pick. So it kind of just depends on if it comes in from the library in time. A lot of exciting reading coming this month. A lot of like new releases, which I don't usually read this many new releases, but I did go kind of nuts on NetGalley. And also I've been paying attention to new releases this year, which is helping. I don't usually pay attention to them until people have been talking about them nonstop for like 2 months, and I'm like, all right, fine, I'll read it. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments which book you are most excited to read in April. And other than that, subscribe if you want to, and if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.